Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Kakadash. It was a great millstone who will well. Peace, salutation, and blessings to the elect. NewsNationNow.com. What are the risks of food shortages? Vittert weighs in. America's farmers have issued a warning of the perfect storm of rising prices, supply chain issues, and poor planting weather that could lead to widespread food shortages by the end of this summer. News Nation's Leland Vittert weighed in on the shortages during an appearance on Morning in America. Right now, roughly half of the amount of corn, soybeans, and wheat that are normally in the ground aren't there, Vittert said. So you have a potential for November, December, if the weather doesn't change. The farmers aren't able to get funding to buy more seed and to buy new equipment and to continue to buy diesel fuel, which is going through the roof. Okay. If they're not able to do that, you have this compounding effect of big shortages. This is from WebMD.com, how climate change is affecting our food. If you lived through 2021, you witnessed some of the most extraordinary weather since record keeping began. In the mild and rainy Pacific Northwest, a catastrophic heat wave practically roasted berries on the vine. For the first time ever, the federal government declared a water shortage at Lake Mead, the country's largest reservoir, cutting the water supply for Arizona farmers. Enormous wildfires broke out in California, Washington State, Turkey, Greece, and Siberian Russia. Meanwhile, extreme rainfall triggered deadly floods in North America, Germany, and China. And in another historic first, rain fell at the Greenland summit, a place that until now has been frozen year-round. All these weather events affect the food supply in one way or another, whether it's destroying crops, leaving areas too harsh for farming, or triggering swarms of locusts and other pests. Beyond individual events, though, climate change overall is transforming agriculture. In some countries, farmers' yields of wheat, corn, and other crops is declining thanks to severe weather. And in some other areas, new weather patterns have boosted them. Okay, so we're going to get this. 2nd Ezra 15 and 13, the GNTA version, it says, verse 13, the farmers will mourn because their seed will fail to sprout and their trees will be destroyed by blight. Let's get that word, blight. Disease or affliction, a plant disease, typically one caused by fungi such as mildews, rust, and smuts. So it says, and their trees will be destroyed by blight, hail, and terrible storms. Let's get this in the the standard version, 2nd Ezra 15 and 13 in the regular version, standard version, it says, they that till the ground shall mourn. And I believe it's the King James version, so excuse me. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. You see? The seeds, okay? So these crops, just going into these crops, man. They're being affected by the weather events, man. So going back to the article. Yeah, and that's the King James version we just read in. Excuse me. It says, excuse me. Go back to this one. It says, specifically, corn shortages have the potential to reverberate up the U.S. supply chain, according to Vittert. Because corn is an ingredient in everything from animal feed to soft drinks to ethanol fuel, the shortage has the potential to drive food prices higher nationally. It goes way beyond just not having corn on the cob at your local barbecue, Vittert says. According to John Boyd Jr., the president of the National Black Farmers Association, you're going to see a lot of empty shelves and a lot more empty prices. Okay, and that's scriptural. Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Going into the sown places, those crops, man. Planted crops, man. You see, they shall appear unsown. Okay. It says the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Okay. And storehouses going into Kroger's, your local grocery mart, Tom Thumb. Okay. Whole Foods. Okay. They're going to be found empty, and they only hold up to 3 days worth of food. And so in a crisis in a crisis, okay, when people rush to the stores, they're going to be cleared out quick, you see, and then it's going to lead to what we're about to get into more in the scriptures. Okay, jumping back. It says, for those people who haven't been to the grocery store lately, the prices are already rising and they're going to continue to go up. This is a time where America needs to pay attention to what's going on with farmers, because you may not need a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, but you need a farmer every day, which the Lord said his servants would eat. And it's not just in the United States. You've got wheat shortages as well. They come a lot from Ukraine because of their wheat supply. The Brits right now, the Bank of England warns of an apocalyptic global food shortage. And typically we're used to the British being reserved. So are farmers predicting there's a way out? And there's a way to avoid a crisis? Is there a way this doesn't happen? Sure, the weather turns, diesel prices go down, which they're not. Okay, they're going to continue to go up. Banks loosen up loans for these farmers and that like. But a lot of farmers that we've talked to, that's all we're going to get on that. Okay, we're going to get some more scriptures. So jump into the book of 2 Ezra chapter 15. Verse 15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay, so these food shortages are going to lead to civil unrest, man. Okay, class is going to be different class wars going on from the division that's here in the United States. Okay, Babylon the Great. It says, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. And sedition is going into conduct, okay, calling for an uprising against the authorities, man. And invading one another, which that's going to come, okay, from these food shortages, man. From the lack of bread, as it's going to say further down. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, the politicians, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So these politicians, okay, and the law, okay, isn't going to be regarded. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay, martial law is going to be declared from all the, the chaos that's broken out. So we're going to jump back. Actually, let's get this first. Book of Isaiah, chapter 19. Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother. And the modern day Egyptians are you Americans. And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city. Okay, so brother fighting against brother, everyone against his neighbor, your kins, your friend, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Okay, let's get this. 2 Ezra 6 and 24, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. So your neighbor that you've grown up with, man, that you just buddy with, Might have known him for years, grown up in the, next in the same house next to him. He in the same house. Okay, y'all gonna fight in that day. You see, for good, for the lack of goods, for their goods. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. Okay. So all that. Isaiah 19 and 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Okay, because this place is nobody can touch us. We're gonna live and be happy and prosper. Okay, the American dream. And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and their spirit is gonna fail, man. It's gonna be broken down. In this place, these people gonna be brought low. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. You're going to these warlocks trying to get answers on how to save this place. You see? So back in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. House is going to be ransacked and ran through and looted and invaded. Okay, for the goods. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, because of the lack of bread, famine. Okay. So hopefully this has been an edifying lesson. I'm going to say, Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who will. Peace, salutation, and blessings to the elect. Shalom.